Welcome in, everybody, to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Hope you all had a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for all of your service. Sean Zerillo is here. Brendan Glasheen with Sean Zerillo, Anthony DeBundo. DeBundo's back from his trip. Great to have DeBundo back on the podcast. We're here every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Most of the time. We took yesterday off. We're here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the baseball season. Please rate, review, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate those 5-star ratings. Any reviews you leave, we appreciate it. Gives us a chance to sift through some feedback and get better as the year goes on. So thank you for doing that. And those of you that won, we'll do some more giveaways later in the season. So stay tuned for that. 15-game slate on this Tuesday. Of course, with the holiday yesterday, not every team was in action, but there was a fair amount of games going on yesterday. We got a full slate to look into. It's kind of that barometer point. We had BJ and Charlie on Friday, gents, and we were just discussing how, it's that kind of measuring stick kind of time of year now, right? Memorial Day, you're in it or you're not in it. Turns out with that extra wild card now being in the mix, a lot of teams probably think they are in it. So good time of year for baseball. Sean Zerillo, best bet for Tuesday with everyone in action today.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chicago White Sox in the first 5 innings. Lucas Giolito, a guy that we talked about a ton on this podcast last season, just from a fading perspective, because he had taken a step back. His numbers this year look about the same as they do last year. Strikeout minus walk rate, expected ERA, all kind of in the same territory, but he blew up in his last start. 7 walks, 4 strikeouts, gave up a bunch of runs. Prior to that start, his metrics had sort of come in the middle of where they were the past 2 seasons. Expected ERA of around 3.1 a couple years ago, 4.3 last year. He was in that 3.6, 3.7 range as of a week ago until he blew up. And I still view him as a better pitcher than Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson had a good year with the Dodgers last year, was commanding the ball well. This year, that command has gone away. Below average stuff with below average command, where Giolito at least is showing above average command, even though his stuff has taken a step back. The White Sox also in their better split. They are better against lefties than righties. So I don't think it's a terrible matchup for Giolito, and just the White Sox in general drawing a lefty who's struggling offensively. I made this line about minus 160, minus 165 for the first 5 innings. So up to minus 150, minus 151 for the White Sox in the first half. And then also, if you can get an over 8.5 up to about minus 128 or over 9 to minus 108 with the weather, with these pitchers, how I view them, made this total closer to about 9.25. Actually, I believe 9.5.
All right. Very good. White Sox first 5. They're on a bit of a skid, but Giolito's looking to bounce back after a tough start at Detroit. DeBundo, welcome back. Best bet for Tuesday.
The Detroit Tigers plus 115 against the Texas Rangers. Alex Faedo starting. Faedo, still not sure how to pronounce that name, to be honest with you. But Faedo has been pretty good, and I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing under the hood by his numbers as well. From a stuff plus perspective, the fastball is somewhat below average, but he's showing really elite command. And he's pairing that with a very good breaking ball and a very good changeup, and getting a decent number of whiffs with it as a result. So, the whiff rate, which had been a problem for him in the past, he wasn't really like a swing and miss guy. And so he was kind of pitching to contact and trying to rely on that. He has really upped the whiff rate this year to the point now where he's striking out, 26.8% of hitters. And his strikeout minus walk is up there amongst the best in all of baseball. It's only 21 innings. So the sample's a little small, but if he's going to maintain these elite command numbers, he's got a real chance to be a bit of a breakout this season. And from a stuff plus perspective, I still don't know how Martin Perez put together this season that he did last year. It was quite a lot of smoke and mirrors to do it, but at least you could say, he was striking out more guys, getting more whiffs, and kind of being a very good nibbler last season. This year, the strikeout numbers are back down to about what his average is for his career. On average, you look at his numbers, strikeouts over year per year, 18, 17.6, and then he has a 20.6 year last year, which was the career year. Best xERA he's ever had, best ERA by a mile he's ever had. Well, now, his ERA is back up a run more than it was last year, and the strikeouts are down considerably, down to 16.7%. The whiffs are down, and he's getting fewer chases. So I think a lot of it, what it is now, is that people are just kind of sitting off the nibbling a little bit better. Detroit, not a great lineup necessarily. for that because they do chase a lot, but they are much better against lefties than righties. It's a lineup that was one of the worst in the league against righties last year. This year, hitting about average against lefties overall. And from a regression perspective, I mean, this Texas lineup is hitting better with runners in scoring position by a mile than every team in baseball. So I think there is some regression coming for Texas. You could say the same about Detroit in that sense as well. But overall, I like Faedo. I'm riding with them at home plus 115.
In Texas, one of the top over teams in baseball this year, 58.8% clip. That's fourth best, only behind Tampa, Boston, and Atlanta. Texas Rangers, but they're being faded by Debundo today with the Tigers. Okay, let's find out if we're going to fade the public on this Tuesday. And our subject today is once again the Oakland Athletics. They are plus 200 today against Atlanta at home. The A's won. They won last night. They won, of course, on a day we didn't. If we had payoff pitch yesterday, who knows? Maybe they would have been a team that we decided to give out as an underdog play. Oakland plus 200 tonight against Atlanta. 89% of the bets, 61% of the cash coming in on Atlanta. Sean Zerillo, is this a spot where you say, maybe there's a chance here to take Oakland?
Yeah, I mean, I made this line closer to plus 190, so plus 210 or better is certainly an actionable price for me. It's just a question of whether I actually want to pull the trigger on the A's today. So it really is become a situation with how bad they're playing that their line is just going to be overinflated compared to what we would expect on a daily basis. But saying it's overinflated compared to what they've actually done on the field is probably an incorrect statement. So it's a historically bad team. You got to pick your spots with them. As I've said, you've got to manage your budget probably separately. As I've said, I'm not sure if I'm pulling the trigger yet, but I believe Anthony did for today. So I will let him explain why. But yes, at plus 210 or better, it's a bet I can justify, just a bet I'm not sure if I want to make.
And since we talked about this on Friday, is I think Charlie may have given them out Friday of last week.
Yes. Yeah. Charlie's 3-0 when he gives them out on the pod.
I think they lost Friday.
Oh, they lost Friday. They were up and blew it.
Yeah.
Yep. I had their first 5 on. That was very annoying.
So, but when they win Debundo, they score runs. I know they
score runs,
much.
period.
What's that?
They score runs. Their offense is not bad.
No, 7 runs last night. What do you think about tonight, though?
Ryan Noda, by the way, now the AL leader in F4 amongst rookies, should be noted. He is still like 75-1 to win Rookie of the Year. If you wanted to throw another dart, I wouldn't hate it. I'm not betting it myself, but that seems interesting. I'm already exposed in a couple guys in the market, including Esther Ruiz, who is going to steal 80 bases this year. But, I bet the A's last night. It was one of the worst spots you'll ever see for a baseball team. I mean, the Braves scored 100 runs on Sunday Night Baseball at home. They didn't get into Oakland until 3 a.m. local time, 6 a.m. East Coast time, 3 a.m. local. So that's a huge travel situation to have to go on the road all the way across the country and then play a game. And Paul Blackburn is solid, and he was good last night. And I think JP Sears is good. I mean, Sears this year has given up a ton of homers, right? He's given up 2 homers per 9. And in small samples, that's pretty noisy. And if you look at his minor league stuff and his minor league data, like there's nothing in that tells me he's going to have a home run problem. Like he was giving up like 1 homer per 9 in the minors. And so I don't think Sears is necessarily going to continue to give up, 17%, 11% barrel rate, 17th percentile. Like he's getting hit decently hard, but the strikeout minus walk is good. He gets a lot of swing and miss, good chase rates. Like there's a lot to like about this Sears profile where he's about a league average pitcher, I think. And I think about the same of Bryce Elder. I mean, Elder's been in much the topic of baseball Twitter and of analytics Twitter. And people are like, how does he keep doing this? Look, he's got a 2 ERA. Everybody knows he's not actually that good. Yeah, I mean, Elder, his projections are right around a 4.1, 4.2 ERA. I would put him somewhere between that and his actual xERA. So right around a league average pitcher. And I think Sears beats those projections once he gets the home runs down. So with the better starter at home, and a lineup that is better than everybody seems to think. I know that the bullpen's been really bad and it's cost them a lot of games, but when they're starting a capable starter and that lineup is slightly below league average, I'm going to back them at 2-1 or better here at home. So give me the A's again. We ride. Second straight day, Oakland.
All right, very good. We'll see if we can have another analyst come on Payoff Pitch and give an Oakland A's winner. Plus 200 over at BetMGM as we record on this Tuesday morning. Speaking of underdogs, none significant like the A's, but potential underdogs that we like. And Zerillo, you're on the same page as DeBundo as it pertains to the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I feel like Anthony stole my thunder a little bit here with Alex Faedo. I gave out Faedo last week as a potential breakout candidate. Action Network cut up the video, put it on Twitter, and I was like, great, this is going to go so poorly. He managed to have the best start of his career, and I was so relieved. 10 strikeouts, looked great. Slider was very sharp. I mean, this is all command. It's command or bust for him. Command was his carrying tool in scouting reports. He looks great in his second year off of Tommy John surgery, and command is the last thing to come back after Tommy John. His velocity is up a bump. His slider, the stuff plus ratings on it are about 7% better than your average slider, but the fastball way below average, and the changeup is a fringe pitch. So if he's getting people with the slider, he's going to be a good pitcher. But if that slider is not working, if he can't command it, he's really going to struggle. So I think the margins on what Faedo is are very narrow. It's very determinant on one particular thing working. And also, I don't really see this going for a peak for him for more than a few years. I don't think this is something that he's capable of maintaining unless he adds a new pitch for like a 10-year career. So I think we have a limited window here. But right now, this kid is locked in. So the Tigers in both halves, but especially the first 5 innings, I believe I made them close to a favorite, if not the favorite for the first 5 innings. I just want to see specifically where I have them lined. I made them minus 110 for the first 5 innings. So you can get them at plus money. I got them at plus 115 last night. It's come down to plus 105, but the Tigers in the first 5 innings to even money. The first 5 spread to about minus 140 or minus 130. Otherwise, you can just add more money line. And then their full game money's line as well. All bets for me. Anthony already made the case about Martin Perez, but yes, this stuff is down. The Tigers actually hit lefties. They struggle versus righties. That is actually kind of flipping this year, more incorporating like last year's stats. Their righty and lefty splits have kind of pulled even a little bit this year, but I still project them as a better team against lefties. They have, I believe, 8 or 9 right-handed bats that they throw out regularly against them. So the better offensive splits for the Tigers, but I really just think Faedo is a guy who the market is not caught up to yet, and they will eventually.
Well, I should have been more careful when I said a team wouldn't be as big of a dog as Oakland, because the Colorado Rockies are DeBundo. Yeah. They're plus 200, and they're playing at Arizona tonight. A fade of Zach Gallen with Kyle Freeland on the mound for Arizona.
Yeah, I'm a big Gallen guy generally, but I think the market's gotten a little high on him here. I mean, this is kind of crazy. There was a start against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago where I was looking at the market like, how is this line right? On the road at Pittsburgh against Oviedo, who, you know, we kind of like a little bit, and he was minus 180, and now he's, you know, minus 240 at home against Freeland, who is a solid mid-level starter, especially when he's not having to pitch at Coors Field. I mean, if you look at his splits from last season and this season, like the numbers on him are pretty good. And so I just think this number is way too high on Arizona. As much as I like Gallen, he's still like a 3.4, 3.5 xERA this year. The stuff plus is not elite. Like, it's good. He's a clearly above average pitcher, and he's improved his walk rate. And that's been really the biggest thing for him. He hit too many guys and had too many walks in the past. And so you've seen him take a bit of a step forward this year because of that. But, you know, in terms of Freeland, you know, having, you know, the better, you know, slugging allowed away from home and just being a better pitcher, I think this is more closer to not a coin flip, obviously, but closer to the number than the market suggests here.
All right. And that start you referenced by Gallen at Pittsburgh, 8 hits, 8 hits, 8 runs, 5 of them earned, walked 4, struck out just 2. And looking at Kyle Freeland right now, yeah, the home road splits are quite not drastic, but there is, you're right. On the road, he's much better.
Yeah, I mean, Gallen was putting up some crazy strikeout numbers. I mean, he struck out, I think he had 3 or 4 straight starts with 10 plus Ks back in April, and that was impressive. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you know, he had cut the walks too, which was the most important thing. But you are starting to see the walks creep in a little bit. You know, 2 walks against the Giants, 4 against Pittsburgh, 2 more against Philly in his last outing, in which he got hit hard, but managed to avoid runs. Like, I think there's some just natural regression coming for Gallen coming forward. I don't see him in that true top 3 Cy Young going forward.
And that's where everybody had him coming into the year. I'm on the Rockies here too. They're actually my largest projected edge for today right now. I made them closer to plus 170. So I'm with you on this, Anthony. Yeah, Gallen for me is like a number 2 starter. He's like a low 3s, high 2s, maybe a high end number 2, low end ace type of starter, but he's not with those elite of the elite aces. Projections have him in that low 3s type of ERA FIP projection. Stuff plus location plus numbers above average in both, but about 6 or 7% above average. So Zach Gallen is gotten a little bit overrated after that scoreless inning streak that he posted last year. Broke the club record scoreless streak. It's the 7th longest in Major League history. It was like 45 innings of scoreless baseball that he pitched. And then I think since then, people were like, oh, this guy's one of the best pitchers in baseball. No, he's one of the highest floor pitchers in baseball, but I don't think he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't think the ceiling is, where Strider or DeGrom or those guys are on a start-to-start basis. I think his floor is very safe, but I don't think the ceiling is that high.
Yeah, where would you rank him in all of baseball? 1 to whatever among starters? Because I would probably put him in like the 20 to 25. I would say
like 15th to 20th, going off the cuff, like not the elite of the elite aces, but like in the aggregate, like a solid, like, low end number 1. So like 20th. But with all the pitching injuries this year, he's rapidly moving up.
That's the thing too, right? Like you were saying, like 3.1 ERA guy is a number 2. Like this year, I think that's an ace. That's your number 1 guy at this point, because there's been so many injuries, and like 4.3 is like league average. And, the Phillies are starting Dylan Covey, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? But yeah, there's been so many injuries, and just the run environment being up has definitely lowered or raised the average ERA for, what a ace is, what a 2 is.
Absolutely.
What a 3 is.
Yeah. And it's just so hard to compare everybody else to DeGrom. DeGrom's at like 1.8, Strider's at like 2.6. Those guys are a little bit separated from everybody else. But yeah, I think Gallen is closer to like a 3.1 pitcher than a 2.5 pitcher. And I think a lot of people are viewing him as that 2.5 guy when he's probably a tier below.
Underdogs remain the theme in our final bets. We also have Dinger Tuesday picks from Debundo coming up here. It is Tuesday. I know it might feel like a Monday after the holiday weekend. We'll have Dinger Tuesday picks in a moment. But Zerillo, staying on the subject of underdogs, tell me about Ben Lively, who's pitching in Boston tonight against Brian Bayo. You like Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's actually very interesting with Bayo, because Bayo is a guy I thought was like all stuff and limited command. His command numbers are actually above average this year, and his stuff has been below average in his 2 major league seasons. His slider is an above average pitch. Everything else is below average. So I'm curious to see how Bayo develops, because maybe my opinion of him was higher than what the underlying pitch modeling data is showing. Obviously, he seems to have a ton of arm talent. He really pops off the screen, but the numbers don't like him as much as I kind of suspected. But Ben Lively has shown excellent command this year. Projections hate him. Thought he would have an ERA low 5s, high 4s. His location has been above average, and he's showing strong command numbers. Didn't have great numbers in AAA, came back over from Korea after a previous stint in Major League Baseball. But, the Reds are a team I've bet on a lot this year. I kind of think since the first month or 2 of last year, when they were absolutely woeful and kind of hit rock bottom, the Reds have been maybe a little bit underrated in people's minds, because they weren't that bad. They're only a few games out of the NL Central lead, I believe, right now. Ellie De La Cruz probably getting the call at some point. So the Reds are playing decent baseball. They really are. Unfortunately, Lively, Luis Cessa, these guys filling out the back end of their rotation is what's going to drag them down and probably keep them out of a playoff spot. But yeah, the Reds, for me, plus 160 is where you can bet them currently. I like them down to about plus 150. So Ben Lively, a guy I've been backing, decent command, probably going to get lit up at Fenway Park, but so far he's been better than expectations.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about Ben Lively. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. Because, the stuff plus is really bad in AAA, and the strikeouts, he was like 5.3 strikeouts per 9. And like you said, like the walks have been good so far, but it's only been 17 innings.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, like how long is that going to last? The thing about Bayo is that he's a changeup guy, and has talked about this with his model, that like changeups are just not great in the model necessarily. Like the model struggles to give a true good rating on them. And so it could just be that the stuff is just wrong on him with the changeup. But he certainly has been locating better. And that was really the biggest issue in the past and why he got lit up and always had traffic on the bases. And also the home runs have been a problem for sure. And in that ballpark, it's tough. But, I don't expect him to continue to a 20% home run to fly ball rate. So I'm not laying it with Boston here, but I'm definitely not personally taking Cincinnati because I think Lively, I faded him his first start and he shoved into my face. But I just don't really buy this guy, to be honest.
What price do you bet Cincinnati to? Because they're down to plus 145 at BetMGM.
I like them to. You said plus 145. Yeah, that's as low as I would go. My target's technically 147, but 145 is still within a percent. 2%, not 2%, but like 0.2% of my target. So yeah, 145 is fine, but it wouldn't go any lower. And also, don't like them first 5 full game only.
Okay. Zerl, you got a couple more, then we'll go to DeBundo's final bets and Dinger Tuesday.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Brewers in both halves, it's kind of gotten to the bottom of my price target. It's just the situation with Adrian Hauser where his command looks slightly better. Yusei Kikuchi has been super enigmatic and is always capable of throwing a dominant start, but his expected ERA has been over 5 in 4 of his 5 major league seasons. So at some point, we got to say, hey, this stuff looks great, but this guy consistently blows up enough to where we have to rate him at a certain level. So Brewers better starting pitcher for me, like them in both halves there, but wouldn't really bet them much below about plus 130, plus 120, first 5 full game respectively. And then the Twins in the first 5 innings, Joe Ryan, a guy we bet on a lot this season, a lot throughout his major league career. His stuff is absolutely elite this year. I believe he's like a top 8 pitcher just in terms of pitching plus, which is, the underlying pitch modeling data, but his expected ERA is improved by more than a run. And Brandon Bielak is a replacement level arm to me, 79 stuff plus, below average command. The difference here in the starting pitching is drastic. It's kind of weird to make a team a big first 5 favorite against the Astros on the road. But the Astros really just haven't hit that well this year, and they continue to rate better against lefties than righties. So I think it's a decent matchup for Ryan, not only in terms of the offensive splits, but also in terms of his direct opponent, Bielak. So Minnesota up to minus 150 for the first 5 innings. This line was as low as minus 120 when I went to bet it yesterday. I played it around minus 140, but I made it closer to minus 165. So anything up to minus 150 is fine.
All right, DeBundo. Final bets, and you can work in your Dinger Tuesday picks.
Yeah, I'm going to take a F5 under 4.5 in the Marlins Padres game tonight. It is Sandy Day, and I know it sounds crazy to say that, after all I've said this year, that I'm actually backing
under. Yeah.
Sandy under. I know it's crazy. But I think there's something really interesting when you look at the splits for Sandy this year. And I think this is based a lot on what happened the last 2 seasons where they rode the hell out of this guy. No matter what the score was, no matter how well he was pitching, he would throw 100 plus, go deep into the 7th and the 8th inning. And I think you're starting to see this year that at least early in games, the stuff is good and the numbers, the results are fine. But as he gets deeper into games, he's getting hit harder and harder because he's not able to sustain the stuff. He's not able to sustain the command for longer starts because of just the wear and tear now. So the first time through the order, batters are hitting 179 against him within 24 strikeouts and 3 walks. Second time through the order, 16 strikeouts, 6 walks. Hitters are hitting 222 with a 561 OPS. So still very good. But the third time through the order, strikeouts 13, walks 10, batters are hitting 316 with a 961 OPS. Now, if you compare that to last season, it's pretty dramatic because yes, like Sandy wasn't as good the third time through the order, but he was still very good to the point where they could keep him in and not, be costing the team runs. And so I think that this is notable and this is something I believe will continue to happen this season. And as we get further into the year, I want no part of like a full game Sandy under, but in the first 5 innings, the first 2 times through the order, I like Sandy still. And even last year, just for transparency, 531 first time through OPS, 638 second time through, 638 again, third time through. So he maintained elite strikeout numbers as well. The peripherals were elite the third time through the order. This year, that's not the case anymore. And so I think first 5 innings under. Weathers starting for San Diego. We've talked extensively about how bad the Marlins project against left-handed pitching. They were historically bad last year. They have not been good this year. Bottom 5 in strikeout minus walk against lefties this season in baseball. So I like the first 5 under 4.5 in the San Diego game tonight. And then I also just have major question marks about both starting pitchers in the Phillies-Mets game. Big rivalry series between Zerillo and I. Starting tonight, first meeting between the two teams, both underachieving thus far. And a lot of the reason that both are underachieving has been the starting pitching. Ranger Suarez has only made 2 starts. He's looked poor in both of them. He got lit up by the Cubs and was pretty mediocre against Arizona as well, even though they came back to win the game. His command numbers are a little bit alarming. The stuff has never been good. Ranger's always been a command guy, gets a lot of ground balls, but like I said, if the command isn't good, the walks are up. The zone rate on him is down, and the whiffs are down, which means that I think the Mets are going to be able to grind out a lot of longer at-bats. And this is something, with Vientos and Alvarez coming up, I do expect the Mets to start hitting lefties better than they have in the past. And so I actually don't think it's a terrible matchup for them tonight, even though in the past I've always said, look to fade the Mets against left-handed pitching because they project much better against righties. On the other side of it, Senga has similar walk problems, and this is something Zerillo's talked about, where his stuff is not holding up. Second time through the order, he's getting hit really hard, and I think the Philly lineup will be able to get to him. So I like over 8.5. There's -110 out there. I like that tonight. Dinger Tuesday, Jorge Soler 3-1. We hit both last time I was on, which was fun. We're gonna go Jorge Soler 3-1 and Kyle Schwarber +340. We are entering that time of the year where Schwarber seems to always turn it around. And sure enough, in the rolling windows on Baseball Savant, Schwarber is top 3 in highest increase in xWOBA over the last 100 plate appearances, or 50 plate appearances rather. So he is turning his season around, as is the tradition. At +340, I like Schwarber to homer as well.
And you've got the write-up coming later today.
Yes,
right?
Colin will be out a little later than usual. I got some soccer pods to do, but it will be up around probably 3 o'clock Eastern.
Excellent. Very good. And by the way, you can catch Opening Pitch, Sean Zerillo's daily write-up covering the entire slate, Major League Baseball slate that is up as well at Action Network, actionnetwork.com. Zerillo, you got a pick for Dinger Tuesday?
William Contreras +420 against Yusei Kikuchi, 131 WRC plus against lefties, and Kikuchi allowing about 1.8 home runs per 9 innings for his career. Absolutely one of the worst at allowing home runs in baseball, Yusei Kikuchi. I think he's allowed the 5th most in baseball since he entered the league. So great guy to bet home run props against.
Excellent. All right, gents. Thank you very much. Sean Zerillo, Anthony Dabundo. Find them in the Action Network app. If they do add Oakland A's money line later today, well, Zerillo might add it, but Dabundo's already on it. And the Rockies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. I'm Brendan Glasheen. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Payoff Pitch. We return on Friday. Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast, presented by BetMGM. You all have a fantastic Tuesday. Ease yourself back into the week, and we will talk to you again at the end of the week on Friday.